guys, welcome back. My name is Katie and today I'm going to do my best books of 2015 and it's gonna be fantastic. Instead of just listing off the top books that I really enjoyed, I decided to spin around with this a little bit and do a list of categories, all describing my favorite books that I read in the year 2015. There's 10 categories and I'm just gonna jump right into it. So the first category is Best New Series, and for this one I chose An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. This book is absolutely fantastic. It was marketed as a standalone, but it's not. It's the first installment in a series. It is a young adult fantasy novel that draws a lot of influence from ancient Rome, which is really interesting, and it has two perspectives, a male and a female. One of them is a slave and one of them is a soldier. Their paths end up crossing and so much happens, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. This book is outstanding and I cannot wait for the next one to come out in 2016. The next category is Best Installment in a Series, and for this one I am going to go with Siege and Storm, which is book 2 in the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I read the entire Grisha trilogy this year and it's definitely up there on one of my favorite series. It's absolutely fantastic. This is a young adult fantasy trilogy and it follows the main character Alina, who is a soldier in the Second Army, and in this army there are people called Grisha who have powers to the ability to manipulate things such as the human body or metals and rocks and things like that, or tides and weather and elements such as that. Now Alina was not tested as a Grisha, but she finds out she has a very specific Grisha power and it kind of just escalates from there. I absolutely adored Siege and Storm. It was one of my favorite books of 2015. It has pirates in it and it has absolutely fantastic writing, and this trilogy is just amazing, but Siege and Storm was my favorite. Next category is Best Series Finale, and for this I'm going with the ending of a fantastic duology, P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. This book is absolutely fantastic. It is the second book in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before duology, and it follows Laura Jean, who is our main character, who writes letters to all the boys that she loves and she stashes them sort of under her bed, but then one day she wakes up and all of her letters have been sent and she has to deal with the repercussions of that. This was an absolutely perfect ending to the duology and I just had so much fun with this series. The next category is Best Standalone Fantasy or Standalone. I picked kind of an urban fantasy for this one, and for me that's going to be A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Now this book follows the story of a boy who keeps being visited by a monster in his dreams at night, and he wakes up and finds some evidence of the monster that maybe it isn't a dream. And this book is so heart-wrenching and it's illustrated and it's absolutely beautiful and it made me cry and oh my goodness, it was so good. The next category is Best Contemporary, and for this one I am going to go with Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. Absolutely adored this book. This is a misfits fall in love book. It takes place in the 80s, but there's so much more to it than that. It follows Eleanor and Park and it switches perspectives and it's their love story and sort of struggles getting through life, and it's just, oh, it's so good. Next category is going to be Best Fantasy, and for this one I'm going to pick a book that I just read, and that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I had so much fun reading this book. I was absolutely sucked into the world and the characters. Leigh Bardugo's characters are what make her book so fantastic. Like, I love the world of the Grisha, but just the characters, just, oh, squad goals. Next category is Best Adult Book, and for this one I'm going to go with an adult dystopian urban fantasy kind of really hard to put a genre on. The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This follows our main character Paige, and she is a dream walker, which means she can walk in other people's dreams, and that's a very rare gift. She's part of like this underground syndicate type of deal where she commits some crimes and then she ends up getting captured, and it's just very hard to explain. It's hard to explain, but it's very good. I would highly recommend this book. The next category is Best Historical Fiction, and for me this is going to be The Invention of Wings by Sue Monk Kidd. Now, Sue Monk Kidd wrote the very famous Secret Life of Bees, which I have not read yet, but I read The Invention of Wings. It just came out this past year, I believe, and I actually listened to it on audiobook, and it was such an amazing experience. It's a dual perspective historical fiction that takes place right at the beginning of the unrest over slavery in America, and so the Civil War is pretty far away from happening, but it follows two girls. It starts when they are 12, and one of them is a very wealthy daughter of a plantation and slave owner, and she gets presented a slave for her 12th birthday. Now, this girl doesn't want a slave, but there's nothing she can do about it. She tries freeing the slave, and her parents will not let her. So it follows the story of this 12-year-old girl and her 12-year-old slave and their journey all the way up through adulthood, and it was absolutely fantastic and heart-wrenching, and I just would totally recommend it. One of my favorite books from this year. The next category is Prettiest Book, and one of the books that I read this year that was very pretty was Shatter Me by Tahara Mafi, as well as Unravel Me by Tahara Mafi. I didn't really like these books, but their covers are gorgeous. The last category in this is Best Book of 2015, and for me, this is going to be Secret Wisdom of the Earth by Christopher Scotton. This book was absolutely fantastic. It takes place in the 80s in kind of backwoods Kentucky, and it follows a very small town as they try to resist the corporate coal mining that is going on. But also the main character, Kevin, has just moved in with his grandfather because his younger brother just died, and it sort of tore his family apart. And this whole book is absolutely fantastic, and I would highly recommend it. The characters are amazing, and it's just heart-wrenching, and it's just so good. It's so good. So that is it for my best books of 2015. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye!